Carmine Bilardello is Senior Vice President in the Willis Group from the New York office here in London to talk about a rather interesting subject that I don't know that we've heard before. This is emerging corporate mobility. And just to kind of set this up, Willis Group has been known in the tall building world for at least two things. Number one is the name change at the former Sears Tower in Chicago. The second one is the Willis Building here in London, which is a new city landmark. Are you happy with the return that and investments that you've gotten from those names?
Oh,
those
absolutely,
buildings?
absolutely. You know, my presentation today, I spoke a lot about, you know, why Willis does what it does with buildings and the importance that it is to us. You know, I consider these buildings the modern cathedrals. Cathedrals were built because religions wanted to show common man that there's something bigger than them, and so when you went into these magnificent pieces of architecture, you were overwhelmed, and you were humbled is probably a better word. And so, you know, I think that's what's happening now with buildings. We're building buildings that are cathedrals to corporations. It's certainly an American concept anyway. There's probably less of that in London. But in the United States, almost every big building, there's an attempt to get it branded in some way, shape, or form. It has a certain panache and whatnot. We've been extremely happy with the situation in Chicago. There was some pushback and unhappiness with it at first, but if you're familiar with the situation, Sears had abandoned the city of Chicago and the Sears building in 1992. And so left high and dry, went out to the suburbs, and really had no connection with the city any longer. And so city government and others were very unhappy with this sort of, they're getting all the publicity, so to speak, from this great, magnificent building. And the owners for a long time tried to change the name, but they didn't want to get trapped into another Sears, which has sort of a low-end company, and you have sort of an idea of what it's like. And they had a hard time attracting financial institutions and law firms and listed New York Stock Exchange listed companies into the building because it was the Sears Tower. And so the owners knew they had to make a change, and then Willis was a nice name, it didn't offend anybody, and so they made the change. It's been a smashing success for them and for us. The day we renamed the building, 105 million people either that day or the next day heard or saw the name change. It was carried live on CNN, on MSNBC. It was in every major paper. It dominated, not dominated, but it was certainly prominently in the news for a couple days. We also took the liberty of announcing how much we paid for the rent there. And the result was, which is unheard of in real estate circles, you don't tell what you paid for something. The result was that there were, somewhat of an exaggeration, but lines going out the door, businesses that wanted to go in and see the building. And the name change to the landlord has been tremendous because they got rid of sort of a name with a company that's hasn't done that well for a long time in the States. And now they have sort of a neutral name. They've done tremendous leasing there. So even though they gave us the bargain of the century, we only occupy about 150,000 square feet of a 4 million square foot building. They reap tremendous benefit from it. And obviously, with us being seen by 105 million people in the States, even though we're not a consumer product company, name recognition and brand are really important. So it's been tremendous for us. Oftentimes when our people speak somewhere or our chairman goes around to talk to people, I mean, the Willis story is an incredible story to begin with. I mean, we've come from being a $1-2-3 billion capitalized cap value company to a $7 billion company in the past 6 or 7 years. So our chairman has done a phenomenal job that way. But yet, lots of times when he goes out, he's asked about the Willis Tower. So it just goes to show you the power of brand, the power of publicity, the power of that name, and it's been great for us. In fact, you see I'm wearing a Willis Tower pin. It's been fantastic for us, and the landlords have reaped the benefit of it tremendously. It's been good for them. It was a smart move on everybody's part.
That's an interesting rest of the story. Getting on to our topic of emerging corporate mobility, what's your definition of that?
Well, we experience a lot of pressure in the corporate world to keep real estate costs in line. And so the trend the past few years has been to right size, hotel, hot desk. You have 20 people in a department, well, you're only going to get 10 desks, and they have to come and go and share and things like that. And so we've done a lot of studies about that. Sometimes it's called intelligent compression, working wisely, mobility. And it's the way of the future. And that's been sort of the way, the Bible a little bit of what corporate world's talked about the last 3 or 4 years. But when you really get down to it, we've done a lot of study and have tried to do it, and it's not necessarily all true. When it really germinates from the idea that there's a lot of young people in the marketplace now. iPads, iPhones, technology, they're mobile, they do everything on the fly. When we have about 2,200 people in the Willis Building in London. When we surveyed 700 of them who were below the age of 35, almost virtually every one of them said, I don't want to work from home. I don't want to be mobile. I want to work in a city. You have a gym. You have a great cafeteria. I eat or a staff restaurant. I eat my main meal there. I go out Thursday night. I go out Friday night. I want to be in the city. And the people that want to be mobile or work from home are guys like me. I don't want to come into work. I want to stay at home. And so that, along with the fact that most of our work is teamwork, we work in teams, make mobility for us a challenge. And how do you make the most of every square foot of real estate, which has got high-end cost associated with it, and not just ship it to Ipswich or Mumbai or other places where you can do things cheaper. And so we've done a lot of clever sort of reconfiguring and whatnot, and we've done some mobility where we've said to certain departments that have people that are out a lot, you have 20 people, you're going to get 15 desks, that sort of thing. But that's been our experience, and now I'm observing it in the outer world, and I see people like at Google. I don't know if you've followed Google recently, where the chairman basically said, okay, everybody back home, I don't know what you guys are doing out there. And so there's sort of this quizzical debate going on now with corporations of, well, Google just did that. It didn't work. They didn't, working everybody from home or a great part of your workforce, you really don't know what they're doing. Yes, you can track whether they're on the computer or not. You can see what they're doing, but it's not the same as face-to-face contact. It's not the same as being in a team where you know what the team is doing. You share work. You mentor people. You bring them along. And so I'm finding that I've been asked by a lot of my colleagues in other companies about how are you doing mobility, how are you handling, intelligent compression, and my answer is, well, we've struggled with it, and I don't know as it's going to be the wave of the future. I don't think you're going to see as much rows of desks, benching with people coming and going as maybe we thought you did. I think more of the old heritage is going to be a lot of the new heritage, but with iPhones and iPads and better technology and more communicating. But one of the things I said in my presentation this morning is that cities exist for a reason. And they exist because people want to come together. They want to be together. We want to be here. Or else everybody would be out in the suburbs and office parks. And there's something about being in the city and about interacting with other people on a day in and day out basis. People want to be here to go out in the evenings when the day is done, or go out for a great lunchtime. So to me, that's been a really important topic that I've struggled with for 2 years, which is, how do we do some compressing within the Willis Building, but at the same time do it in such a way that the businesses can continue to do business. And it's been hard. And a lot of the managers of these line units have come back and said, you can't take those people away from me. I got to have them here. And I think it's a subject that all corporations are struggling with right now, one way, one scale or another.
So it sounds like the answer is, there were a lot of us that were hoping that the internet would kind of loosen things up a bit, which it has. However, the solution here and how the technology is going to affect the future design of office buildings sounds like you just give people a better place to work where they really look forward to coming in? Is that how it
Absolutely.
affects the design?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you look at the Willis Building, it's 350,000 square feet of office space. We have a 400-person auditorium, a major staff restaurant, 28 dining rooms, 4 kitchens. We have a gym. We have car park, motorcycle park. We can accommodate 250 bicycles with shower rooms. And so, to an extent, it's a little city, but lots of people go out into the city. And so these amenities are important to offer employees. And in the end, I come back to people come to the city for a reason, and they come into the urban centers, and they come to, and corporations do too. When Willis looks at a city that we're going to, we always try to be in the urban center. It's easier to get to our clients, it's easier to get people in, it's easier to attract people, even though there might be commutation issues. We always seem to overcome that. People want to be together. And it's been great for us. Certainly in London and in New York and in places where you have large populations that need and are working together.
Well, thanks for coming to see us.
Thank you.
Carmine Bilardello with the Willis Group. Thanks for seeing us in London.
Thank you.